Well, well, today is just the most gorgeous January day you would ever have in the Northeast here. And when the weather is good, I'm going to work on the car from having the garage door open, which it almost never is during the winter. And we're going to do some work on disassembling, getting this fuel pump out of here. And I'm just investigating this over here. Well, this looks worse on camera than it does in real life. Well, anyway, I have myself, I loosened up this copiglia. This Roma block. Boy, look at that deterioration of that gas line. It just plain cracked. Of course, I'll be removing all these sections and measuring them off. I think I'm going to take this one off right at the pump. Take this one off right at the pump. I'm going to loosen up this Roma block. And once I get the two lines off, then I think I can have enough room to get in the back over here, which looks like 8mm bolts. Whoops, up here. They look like 8mm bolts. I know there's a bracket that holds the whole thing on. I think I'm going to leave that on there, though. And I can look around underneath over here. There's some interesting things to observe. I'm really curious about the, what they put under here. This is probably some kind of very, I don't want to say cheap, but it's a very, looks like a quick application of some kind of rust inhibitor on the underneath. All right, well, let's get this thing going. I have some heat to heat up these hoses to make it a little bit easier to remove them. And so let's get to it. All right, just some notes here. This is from viewing from, this is the rear of the car. This way is towards the rear of the car. So this here is the inlet. This is the outlet. The outlet connects to here, goes up this way. Now, the one thing I wanted to take a note of here is the negative terminal is on the left, and looks like the power is on the right. I'm going to disconnect those to free this up, so I can just remove those. Look like two little bolts. And again, those look like 8mm. All right, so let's get to that. Well, here's my testing of the fuel pump. So what I did was I rigged input to a funnel, an output to this gas can, and then I hooked up my my power supply, and just fed these onto the terminals here, left negative, right positive. And lo and behold, this thing worked like a charm. It ran at about 4 or 5 volts. Or at least that got it running. I'm reading this. What does it say? 12 volts. 20, I don't know. I guess it'll run a lot hotter if I put more voltage into it, or more amperage into it. But this thing is really, this little power supply thing, very nice. Anyway, so this was successful. Ran 3 times. I don't have enough hands to actually do this. I could put the camera up on a stand and stuff, but it's almost, you can't really even hear it running. It's very quiet. Anyway, so this is goodness. All right. All right, start of a new day. Doing a little experiment. What I did is I took some acetone, put it on a shop rag, or a bit of a shop rag. And I put it on the bottom. If I can get my light to work, that would be nice. I put it on the bottom of this little picker-upper to hold it secure. And I just put it at the bottom of the tank. Somebody commented that in order to see whether or not it's rust or dried varnish, take a magnet, put a little baggie around it, so to speak, a very thin bag, which I have plenty of. My newspapers get delivered with it. And that way you can see if it sticks to the magnet. Well, I put it in there. I don't think I have a heck of a lot of rust. So I'm going to do an experiment with this acetone. Acetone is what a lot of shops use to clean out gas tanks. If this works out well, maybe a couple of gallons of acetone in this tank will clean it up. But this little experiment will help determine whether acetone alone will work. All right, so more later. Okay, well, here's a little bit of a follow-up. You see that little silver spot down there? I actually used some abrasion and some acetone, and it cut right through that stuff and got down to what looks to be really nice metal. Just as a side note, I was also told that MEK, oh, by the way, this dissolves in the acetone you could see how this dissolves in what's on the rag. But I've also did some research on the internet a couple of weeks back and found that MEK works just as well, if not better, even than acetone. So we might even look at that experiment. But I think I'm going to go with MEK. And what I'm trying to figure out now is how to seal the top of the tank. I'll probably make some kind of template, and I don't know. I'll make some kind of template out of maybe even just wood, and use the original screws. It would have to be a pretty thin sheet of wood or something suitable to block up this hole, the fuel inlet. I'm sure it can be done another way. The whole thing about MEK is the evaporation. So if you don't seal up the tank, you're going to be losing your MEK really quickly. All right, so an update on this later. Okay, so here's an update. So what I did was I went out and I got myself some MEK. $40 worth. And I capped off this with the original seal plus a plastic. I cut a piece of plastic from a garbage bag. And here I used the original seal that came with the gas tank, and I fabricated a plastic plate and used the original screws to winch it down. If I tip this over, I don't think this is going to be completely watertight, so to speak. And but it is what it is. So that's where we're at. We're going to let this cook. I put a gallon in there, and that more than filled the bottom of the tank in that under the baffle. So we're going to let that cook in there for, I don't know, a couple of weeks. I don't feel like taking this thing off again. This thing was kind of hard to fabricate and it was hard to put on a little bit. So we're going to let that cook in there for a while. I'm looking at the fit of that thing. I'm probably going to have to, I think it's good enough for now, but I'm probably going to have to jury rig that thing, or I should say adjust that thing a little bit. All right, so we'll check up on this, I don't know, in a week or so. All right, well, today, continuing with the gas tank resuscitation, I improved this a little bit, so I get a little bit better seal, but it's not perfect. I actually put some gasket sealer on there because the old seal, even though I'm using it as a template, it really doesn't do very well sealing. I took a look in there also while I was doing that, and I have to admit that it doesn't seem to be working out very well. That varnish at the bottom of the tank is really thick. I'm going to let it cook for a few more days. Every once in a while, I also slosh it around a little bit, but the jury is out right now whether or not that's going to work. So being completely frustrated with that situation, what I do for relaxation is I clean the engine compartment, and it's it's almost like giving this car a sponge bath because like I said when I started, I really didn't have a chance to clean the engine at all, and I didn't really want to either do any kind of pressure washing or bulk cleaning. So what I've been doing is just cleaning certain areas at a time. And what I found was I was just cleaning this up before, and hey, listen, there are 5 billion different cleaners you could use for stuff, but you know what I did? I actually mixed some WD-40 and kerosene. And the reason I did that, I've been using gasoline a lot, but I mixed some WD and kerosene. And the reason that I did that is because I wanted something that had good solvent power, but didn't, wasn't that flammable. And I remember as a kid, my father putting kerosene when we used to wash our cars. Now I'm talking in the 60s. I was a little kid, but yeah, I am that old. When we used to wash our cars, we used to use kerosene in the water. But anyway, the kerosene and the WD-40, the kerosene, is a lot gentler, I think, on the paint. The WD-40 gives you some kind of solvent power, so it's kind of a low power solvent. Anyway, I've been doing that, and that seems to look pretty good. I'm going to work on that side tomorrow. I'm thinking of pulling the pitman arm tomorrow because this box is leaking, I think, at the bottom. And but anyway, that's a battle for another day. But what I figured I would do is I want to get this seal out of here, and it kind of confuses me what the heck they did here. This seal is some kind of, it's that grayish putty that I've seen before. This is used pretty universally, I think, with many Alfas. So you have this gray putty that went all the way around, and you also had this I don't have the seal over here, but there was like a neoprene seal also. And I'm thinking, why did they do both? It seems to me to be overkill. What I'm going to do is something that some people on the bulletin boards have recommended. And this is a closed cell foam. It's got tack on one side. I've got a whole spool of this stuff that I used for my 68 Alfa when I restored it. So what you do is you just fit it along these curves. And of course, you know, you'd have to do some custom fitting and this and that. You know, you'd have to get a straightaway and then cut it at an angle, and there it goes on the floor. So that's what I think I'm going to do, and leave it at that. So I'm going to use this, the second most valuable tool in a workshop is a hairdryer. I'm going to use this to soften up the seal and remove it from the perimeter here. And then we'll see how things go. All right? Catch you later. Okay, so a little bit of follow-up. So what I did is I cleaned around the perimeter, and what I'm doing now is I'm laying in this this tape, and this is a closed cell foam tape. I don't think I have a brand, but I think I got it on Amazon. And it's single-sided with adhesive. It's a peel-off. Ooh, what the heck happened here? It's a peel-off. So what I'm doing is I'm just laying it in here. And as you can see, over here, there are relief cuts to allow me to curve it like that. And then what I'm going to do, it hangs out a little bit over this lip. I'm going to take the straight edge razor, and I'm just going to cut to give an even lip. I think it's going to work pretty well. Looks okay. I'm getting better at estimating the... It's actually going to look pretty good. The this one probably should be redone. It doesn't look that good. See, the nice thing is, I wish I could get this light to balance. The good thing is you can just pull a piece out and then you can pull a piece out and just redo it. All right, so let me continue with this and catch you later.